Of course, with me here is Mark Lunsford, the father of Jessica Lunsford. Mark, I've known you for quite a few years. For the first time, I could say I had a genuine smile from you today. What was your reaction?
Well, it was a big surprise, most definitely. I got a call from the prison system. They wanted to let me know that John Couey was found dead in his cell, and the autopsy hadn't been done yet, but they would let me know as soon as it was. And it was just, it was a little overwhelming. It made my day very exciting. I don't know if exciting is the right word. Maybe I was just really pumped. I got on my bike, took off, and thought things through, and I realized that, okay, John Couey's dead, so what? There's still 600,000 more.
600,000 more sex offenders in the country.
In the United States. There's over 4 million people in the state of Florida trading child porn. But thank God to our governor and the programs that we have available to us. The state, 77 of those guys were caught. But yeah, he's not a burden to the state anymore, and he's not something that I have to think about anymore.
Yeah, and so you're not thinking about him anymore, but it seems like it is a relief for you, though. It's a burden off your shoulders.
I think it would be to any family whoever caused them some kind of grief like this was to die before their actual sentencing date. Most definitely. It does take a lot off of you. Because now you no longer have to think about his efforts for his next appeal or anything like that. Not that I had any doubt in the Florida system. I believe they'd have killed him. But there is that process called the process of appeals. I heard that he had an appeal and he was asking for a life sentence instead of the death penalty. I guess he got his answer, didn't he? I like that. I really like that.
I know your parents, I talked to them a little while ago. They mentioned to me that they were praying that they would be able to be around to see his sentence carried out, because the average stay in Florida on death row is 12 and a half years. That's a long time away. How do you feel about him dying in this way from cancer rather than actually being put to death by the state?
Prayer answered. And, if that's what they prayed for and he died, his cause of death isn't sad at all for him. It would be if it was someone else to die that way, but not for him. But I'm just glad it's over. He's no longer a burden to this state. He's no longer anything that my family and I have to think about, whether or not what's going to happen to him in 12 to 15 years. I think it's like $55,000 a year that it costs the state to have him there. Hey, we don't have to pay that no more. But it's okay with me that he's dead. It's okay. It's okay with me, whether it be today or 12 and a half years, as long as it happens. That's not justice, though. It doesn't have anything to do with justice.
You mentioned to me earlier that no matter how he died, how much pain he was in with cancer, it didn't compare.
It won't compare to their victims. Sexual offenders and predators, what they put their victims through, whether they die or survive, which one has it the worst? There's no comparison to what those children and some adult women have to go through, and what it does to their lives if they survive. Some of these people can be fighters, and some of them can't. And there's no comparison to how anybody who would commit a crime like that, if he dies, how he dies does not compare to his victims.
Did you ever wish that you would have been able to sit down and to actually talk to the man face to face?
No. No. I could think of better things to do. The system will never allow you to let that happen. But like I said, dude, it ended a lot of things, a lot of thoughts for me about him. Those thoughts I don't have to think about this stuff anymore.
I know in a lot of his letters, one of his last few letters that he sent out from prison, ironically never had a visitor in jail, but he sent out a few letters and always mentioned God and wrote Bible verses. What do you think about that and now that he's died?
Well,
Is there forgiveness?
Not for me. But he's not. He didn't come to me. He went to God. And I can't speak for God, but I can tell you that I've been told that God says if you hurt one of His kids, you'd be better off with a rope tied around your neck with a rock and throw it in the deepest sea compared to what He's going to do to you. So maybe while John was laying there dying, maybe his feet was getting hot, and then his ass caught on fire, and then his head bursted into flames.
What's next for you, Mark? I know earlier you mentioned, this will be the last question for you. What's next for you? You mentioned the other sex offenders that are here in the country, the hundreds of thousands of them, and are you going to continue your fight?
Yeah, I do. I try to show as much support in Washington and on a state level to the U.S. Marshals and to local law enforcement who works with the U.S. Marshals on these sting operations to go out and apprehend the absconded sex offenders. They're short-funded, so constantly advocates like myself, Ed Smart, the Surviving Parents Coalition, the National Center for Missing Children, we're all in support of being real hard on federal legislators up in D.C. because they are not funding things the way they should be. I know President Obama made a statement during his campaign that he was in support, but where's the funding for these things?
Mark Lunsford, thank you very much,
Thanks,
and enjoy your time.
Thank you.